My project is about landforms affecting the war. First, France had a problem because it was attached to Germany. So the French dug a trench for them and allies for remote shelters from Germany. Second would be Midway Island, which is right next to Hawaii, right here between USA and Japan. It was important for refueling because planes couldn't fly all the way from Japan to Hawaii or USA, so they stopped at Midway Island to refuel their planes. Third would be Switzerland, which has more major problems. It was attached to Italy as well as Germany. So the Swiss used the Alps to their advantage by using barricades and remote structures to discourage the Germans. Interviewing with Vestal, my great-great-uncle, he's a geologist and he was one of the people serving in the Navy. He's 94 years old. We sent him written questions to Lubbock to interview him. Then he sent his answers on video back to Austin so we can see them. When did you join the Navy and what years did you serve?
Joined the Navy in 1942. Actually, I was due to go into the Army, but I got delayed a little bit. I was very fortunate. A lot of things in my life have been on little things that became important later on. I was due to go with the Army to register and sign up for it. And I knew the girl who was doing the registration. And I said, I need to go to the post office. And she said, well, go ahead and then come back. So I did. And she was one of my classmates. And I graduated with from high school. And I came back later and she sort of grinned at me and says, we've already got a full quota. You won't have to go this time, but you'll be number one next time. I said, okay, thank you very, very much. So I went on my happy way and I ran into my cousin, J.L. Spear, and he said, I joined the Navy. They gave me a cook's rating, 3rd class. I said, wonderful. He said, why don't you try? I'm going to San Antonio, come go with me. So I did. See, there was a week in between those Army things. And so I went to San Antonio with him, talked to the Navy people there, and they said, well, yeah, with your experience working with the county and your 2 years in the university, we can give you a 3rd class rating as a storekeeper. And I said, wonderful. And I didn't even know what a storekeeper was, but I did have some training in that part. So when the Army came back, I thumbed my nose at them because I was already in the Navy. Well, now that was 1941, but that didn't actually pick me up and sign me up and officially swear me in until 1942. So I went in 42 and I came out almost in 46. When I got home from the Navy, it was Christmas Day. It was that close to 1946. But I actually was discharged late in 45. I was given...
What islands did you serve on? What job did you do?
Yes, I was in Guadalcanal for a year, but before that, I was in a place called New Caledonia, which is another, the Pacific is full of islands. These islands were occupied by the Nazis in that is their country. They were Dutch control, and just like the ship that I spoke about, he wasn't in port. Those islands were not in Europe, so they didn't pay any attention to them. They leased the harbor of the island to Uncle Sam to put his ships in, repair ships and everything else, and it became a station. We had to take what we could get in islands that were left. Just as we moved in above Australia, we moved into New Caledonia because it was available. And we were busy building ships and getting ready to beat the tar out of the Japanese, but we weren't quite ready yet. When we did occupy, not too many people even heard of New Caledonia. It is a favorite Japanese vacation place because it is closer to Japan than many other places they can go. It's a nice place. And they have a nude beach there, and that's what the Japanese are famous for, going there and taking photographs. Once the Marines captured Guadalcanal, we poor storekeepers could get on it. It's an actual fact. I never fired a shot in anger while I was in 4 years in the Navy. The Marines did that. The other sailors. That wasn't part of my job. I did have a job on a 5-inch cannon we had on the stern of the USS Hecuba that I occupied later on. And I was a ammunition handler there. Had big gloves and take those shells and throw them out of the way after the gun had fired. That's why I don't hear too well today. The roar of that cannon. I was with an outfit called the Landing Craft Depot. And this started in San Diego. I was ship's company there for a short time. Immediately went from there to San Francisco, got aboard the ship, and went to on there to the Pacific. And I spent a year on New Caledonia and then a year on Guadalcanal.
As you can see on this map, Guadalcanal is northeast of Australia and New Caledonia is east of Australia.
Position, I was a storekeeper first class. I did a lot of typing. I did a lot of storeroom work. It was a mixed job. You did what you were told. And later on, with these aircraft, these ships we had going from ship to shore, were different kinds of small craft, and we would have them there, and someone had to check them in, check them out, and resupply them so they'll be ready to go again. And that was part of a job I had for a long time there.
What do you remember most?
The friends I made there more than anything else, more than the job. I remember hearing the big explosion there they had on shore. We were on a little island there with our base, and was called Ile Nou. I don't know what that means in French, but that's a French island. So, and but the friends I made there were friends for 2 years.
Guadalcanal was in a strategic location for Allies to use and protect Australia and New Zealand from Japan.
That's right. We got in there just in time to save Australia and New Zealand's bacon, because the Japanese had not gotten there yet. Well, the battleground that took place was a group of islands that lay in advance of the Japanese. They hadn't gotten to Australia and New Zealand. We came in time to fortify them and put forces in there. The poor Australians and New Zealanders sent all their men to fight in Africa. They weren't there, they were gone. And they were stripped of manpower. And we came in just in time to put men aboard and have them there to keep the Japanese out. And Papua, and there was a group of islands that lay ahead of them, and we had a great battle there. And I had a friend that was stationed there, and he told me tales about how they fought there and protected it.
Did you see any cool landforms during your travel with the Navy?
Well, we got to visit as we passed by in the trip to and from the Pacific. We got to go through from New Orleans to the Panama Canal, out of the canal, and various islands as we went by. One of the islands was the one that creates the huge statues. What is the name of it? I can't think of it. Anyway, Christmas Island was another. We got to see them, but we didn't get to stop and see the statues and stuff they made, because we didn't have to. It wasn't a pleasure trip. We were in a hurry to get from point A to point B, where we were supposed to be. Probably the most exciting things we saw were not landforms, but situations. I went through 2 typhoons on board ship. One of them aboard the USS Hecuba that I was assigned to. Anyway, these storms were dangerous. I remember they had aboard the top of the ship, you have a lookout in there, and he's on the top of the mast. And during the storm, it was so bad he couldn't come down, and he was on the top of that exposed position the whole time of the storm. And the storm was bad enough that we lost some of our deck cargo, lumber and trucks and things we had on deck, and they went overboard because of the storm, and very nearly lost the ship. but it was a very good ship, and we had a very good captain, and he got us through it.
My great uncle went on many adventures, like exploring Antarctica, but those will have to wait another day. Thanks for watching.